Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you all for coming to the annual community resource presentation. Abby Hoffman with Turning Point. And this is hosted by LAN 41. And so for those of you who are presenting, please make sure that you're going to come up behind here. We're going to be recording this on Zoom. And so the presenter will be recorded and speak loudly so everyone can hear over your mask. Yeah, so I'm going to let Kate from the library take it away.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to see you all here. It's amazing. Today is my second in-person program. So I'm a little nervous because for a year and a half, we all forgot how to communicate and interact with people like we normally do. I work in the community engagement department and I'm part of the LAN 41 group. And again, very nice to meet you all and see you here at the library. If you'll have a time after this presentation, this beautiful building, it's been always beautiful, but it's been renovated recently. The most of the construction was done during the COVID time, active COVID time. And so it's really, we have tons of changes and I recommend it to look around. Okay, Skokie Public Library. I will talk about features which might be good for the social service landscape. So I'm not going to touch all we do here at the library. So everyone who lives in Skokie can get a library card. It's a good point to keep in mind that all school kids are automatically, K through 12, are automatically getting library cards. There is also an important feature we have called live homework help. All you need to do for that is to have a Skokie library card, log in from the website, our website, which will be under resources, homework help. And all you need to do, just put the Skokie library number. And from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m., students will be able to interact with the live tutor or teacher. We have enormous amount of online resources. During the COVID time, the list of our resources grew a lot. And the usage of the resources absolutely increased tremendously. And all resources are free for people with a Skokie library card. And please just recommend your clients or investigate yourself about what we have, because we can have download movies, watch movies and music and articles and books and audiobooks and many, many helpful databases for research and for the school. As we know, Skokie as a village is very diverse, maybe one of the most diverse suburbs in Chicago area. And we have a lot of resources for ESL learners. If you click here, ESL learners, you'll see the list of resources and my name as a contact person for the majority of services we are offering for ESL speakers. We work on many different levels. We have classes as a partnership with the Oakton Community College. Unfortunately, during the last year and a half, and probably for the next 6 months, we won't be able to host Oakton Community College for those classes, but we do have several conversation groups. We have one online conversation group. For now, it's still online, called ESL Cafe, which is a drop-in event and anyone can attend, regardless where people live. And we also have one-on-one tutoring for ESL speakers, where I matching a student with a volunteer teacher. We have, we work with many partners, including the ELL Parent Center, and we have additional programs periodically for this group, for ESL learners. In order to learn more about it or have direct contacts and learn more about the program, please contact me. Technology. Well, technology is everywhere, as we know, and we do have computer lab on the second floor. Anyone can come in and use computers. Computer lab is back and running. We have 3D printers. We do have Wi-Fi, not only in the building, we now have Wi-Fi in our bookmobile stops. and around the bookmobile. And for those of you who don't know, library has a bookmobile, which is an amazing small library. And there are there are stops, and this information also on our website, where bookmobile goes almost every day. World languages materials. We have, again, as I've mentioned before, being such a diverse community, we have books in 14 languages. The World Languages collection located on the second floor, and it's conveniently located next to the ELL collection, which is for English learners. Sorry, I forgot to mention it before. We have books in 14 languages, we have magazines in 8 languages, and we have movies from all over the world, I would say in 50 languages or even more. Our foreign movie collection is amazing, and basically any movie which was on any kind of international festival will be here at the library. Accessibility. We have many different events, mostly online right now, for people with different type of disabilities. For instance, there is a flyer there. We have a low vision support group every month, and it's going to be a program on October 12th. Please grab a flyer if your clients might be interested. We also have a talking book monthly program for visual impaired people. We're doing book-bound deliveries for people who are, for different reasons, cannot come to the library, and we deliver them to them book weekly. We have a huge job and career services program. Unfortunately, it's only online right now. In order to connect people with their tutor or volunteer, the best way will be calling the library at the moment. We're not having any kind of in-person programs with a resume help or job career counselors. It's all online. On that table, I have business cards for someone who work with our special accessibility services. Our accessibility services specialists work in my department. The business cards are there. Just in case if some of your clients might be interested, please contact Dawn directly. And this is, of course, a very brief, sorry, I need to pause it for a second. Okay. So yes.
All right, so I, again, am Abby Hoffman. I'm from Turning Point. I'm going to describe some of our services. So Turning Point is a community mental health outpatient clinic in Skokie. It is on Skokie Boulevard, just south of Main Street, across from the Taco Bell. Right now, so we provide outpatient therapy services, individual therapy, family therapy, couples therapy for people aged 5 and up. Right now, during COVID, we are, sorry, I'm trying to stay here. We are providing all of our services in a hybrid style. So providing some services in person while other services are remote. We have a large group therapy program, one of which is our called our PSR program, that stands for psychosocial rehabilitation. And that's for adults with chronic and persistent mental illness. Really, those groups are really focused on learning basic independent living skills. So some of the groups in that program, just some examples are like when we are providing services in person, we have many cooking groups, computer skills group, we have a community support group, transportation group, helping people learn how to use public transportation. We also have skills-based therapeutic skills-based groups such as CBT and DBT groups as well. And those are all for adults. We also have a few groups that are considered in our outpatient program, so not a part of PSR, but those are more process-oriented groups, and the topics vary. Right now, we do have one teen group for kids high school age. And right now, most of our groups are virtual. However, we're starting to go back in person to provide groups. Right now, all of our groups on Fridays are in person, and that's where we're starting. And then we're going to gradually return back to more in-person groups on other days of the week. We also have a case management program for adults. And so this is something that can help an adult access some sort of service or benefit or entitlement. So if they need help applying for Social Security income or Medicaid or getting SNAP benefits, things like that, finding housing, our case managers can assist adults in doing that. We also have a pretty small residential program for single adults. And this program is really meant for to be temporary, 3 to 5 years, although sometimes it's longer. And this is for adults who really are needing to learn how to live independently on their own with a little extra support. And then some of the criteria in terms of eligibility for that program are you have to be an adult, you have to have some form of Medicaid insurance, and then Social Security income. We also ask that if anyone has past substance use issues, that they're sober for at least a year. We also have a couple of crisis programs at Turning Point. So one, our probably most well-known program is called our Living Room program. And that's pre-COVID times, is an in-person adult alternative to psychiatric hospitalization crisis support. So if someone is experiencing some sort of crisis, they literally just walk into our living room during their open hours. They have a quick assessment, and then they meet with one of our recovery support specialists. And those staff are people who identify themselves as someone in recovery from mental illness. And so they work with we call them guests who come in to create some sort of safety plan for themselves. And that's for adults only. Our crisis services are all free. Right now, it's all virtual. However, our living room program is actually going to be going back in person starting November 1st. Although it will be a hybrid style. So if people still want to call over the phone, they can do that too. And the living room is open 365 days a year. So even holidays from 12 to 8 p.m. So in the past, we've had, we're a little bit of a transition phase with our other part of our crisis services. So historically, we've had a 24-hour crisis phone line. We still have that, although we contract out with Presence Health to take a lot of those calls right now. Because we're in this phase, we got a new grant from the state to provide mobile crisis supports. So literally going out in the community to help people in crisis. And so we literally just signed the contract. We're still figuring out how that's all going to look. But I will share more information with you all when it comes. In terms of starting or accessing services, our intake program is called Open Access. And right now, that's all virtual, either on the phone or video. And someone can call the Turning Point main phone number any time of the day. If it's outside the hours of like 9 to 4, you would leave a message and someone would call you back the next day. But you would call our main number and say, I'm interested in starting services. And then what the process looks like is you would immediately talk to someone in our billing department to talk about fees and insurance. And then within 24 hours, you would get a call from one of our clinicians to do an assessment. And then you may be put on a wait list. Unfortunately, we have a wait list right now. It's over the past year and a half. As many other organizations have experienced, there's a high demand for mental health services, and we have quite a long wait list. We've been hiring new staff, and so that's decreasing somewhat. And right now, I believe it's around 6 weeks or so. Yeah, in terms of insurances we take all forms of Medicaid. And then we do take Blue Cross Blue Shield PPOs. And we also have a sliding scale for people who want to pay out of pocket. And that is about it for Turning Point. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey Barnick. I work with different lands throughout Cook County. And so I'm just going to introduce our next speakers as they come. So next up would be Ricky Schwartz from River Edge.
Do I have to stand in front of the camera here? So it's nice to be here. You know, it's nice to be part of this community. I grew up in this community and I live in this community and I raised my children in this community. And there's so many wonderful services that we should all be proud and work hard to maintain these types of gatherings and share our resources. So, you know, local is great, and people, you should use your local services. I represent River Edge Hospital, and we're a big ship. And I like to say all roads lead to River Edge eventually. So if somebody is in need of hospitalization and they utilize local services, at one point, somebody's going to realize that hospitalization is warranted, and River Edge will perhaps be in that mix. There are many hospitals, not many, there are some hospitals in this area. So we're fortunate in that we do have a pretty good system for getting people into care when they are in crisis. So take advantage of it. So I'll tell you a bit about River Edge. Oh, and the takeaway on all this, by the way, is I'm your liaison to River Edge Hospital. So use me. I mean, if you have a question about something, please reach out and I'll give you my number right now. It's 708-990-2009. That's my cell phone. And it's my pleasure. And it's also, you know, my job. So don't hesitate to use it. And also, if you're working with someone and you don't know what to do, use the website that River Edge provides. River Edge, by the way, is owned by UHS, which is a publicly held company. So good news, bad news, right? The good news is we have access to resources and we use them. There's lots and lots of research on our website. So there's nice videos for kids and for people entering mental health systems for the first time, which we're seeing a lot of right now. We're seeing a lot of people coming in to mental health systems first time, and they get scared and they back away and they don't follow up. And we do outreach. So we have a lot going on within the hospital. And by the way, we're also a teaching hospital. So we have postdoc interns there that are doing research. We have specific groups that the interns create and see what kind of community engagement is involved so they know where to focus research. We have nurses that are coming over from Loyola. We're located in Forest Park. So from Loyola, which is the largest med-surg teaching hospital in the area. So we have a nursing program that they come over and they learn about psych and behavioral health. Okay, River Edge specifically. It's a big house. It's a 210 bed psych facility. It's the largest psych facility in the state. And there's 9 specialty units in the hospital. We take children as young as 3. I've never seen a 3-year-old. I have seen 4-year-olds. Our average length of stay in the hospital is 9 days. So we are psych stabilization. There's different treatment modalities that are going on, but we're not hanging our hat on treatment. We're hanging our hat on stabilization and back to you for treatment. We do have a full continuum. It's not necessarily convenient, and we get Zoom and everything that you would expect a large hospital system to have. So don't think that we don't offer just about everything we do. Hello? To dream, oh, sorry. Brian? So we are the only ones in the state that have a intellectual and developmental disability unit. And it's a really, really interesting unit, and I'm very intimidated by the population, so I don't do much there. But I want you to know that it's available, and there's a little bit of a different intake process for that unit. Again, but if anybody is touched by the population, the IDD population, and you do need some help with that, there is a different process. Reach out to me, and I will help you with that. We have a unit in the hospital, we call it an intensive treatment unit. And this unit is designed for people who are having a psychotic break or a schizophrenic episode. And it's individual rooms, and it's not one-on-one, but the staff to patient ratio is much higher. And it's an amazing unit because we use so much of expressive arts in the unit, which was very surprising to me. And it works so well, these young people, who are trained in expressive arts come out and you can really feel the air change in the room. So it's very, very interesting. The average length of stay on that unit is less. I don't know what the days are, but I know it's less than the average of the rest of the hospital. So we're really good at stabilizing people who are in a very acute situation. We also have a co-occurring unit. So if somebody is using chemicals, they have substance use disorder, and they are in the midst of a psychotic break, we can take that patient, even if they're still using. So we will detox them using Subutex and with a taper, and then we will treat them to stabilize them psychiatrically. So if you're dealing with a family and somebody is a substance user and they're in the midst and they need to have some stabilization, River Edge would be a go-to for that. So that's an interesting unit as well. We have a general unit, and it's they're all separate, men and women. Not true. Not true at all. I take that statement back. Our adolescent units are separate from boys. But our adult units, we don't have co-ed programming, but there are dividers and stuff like that. And you should really, I invite you all to come see the hospital because it's well designed. And it's a trauma-informed care facility. And what that means is that everybody in the hospital is continually trained on how to respond and refer and recognize trauma in people and how that plays while they're staying at River Edge. So somebody who might, be very subtle in their actions, our staff is trained to start to pick up on that. And speaking of that, I'll just tell you something interesting that came out this morning, that people are now sneaking in razor blades and things that can harm them inside their cell phones. So you have to watch everything now. And that they have, I guess, in menthol cigarettes, a menthol piece that they put in filters. And some kids know about this, and they were in a behavioral health hospital, and they were getting all the menthol cigarettes, and one kid died in the hospital by taking those beads. So no menthol cigarettes. Okay, I think I covered our adult units. We also have a therapeutic school that we don't talk about that much because most of the kids, it's for adolescents and young adult men who have problem sexual behavior. Most of them are coming in from DCFS, and it's a 2-year program. And it's run really, really professionally. And it's sad, because the young guys up there, are perpetrators and victims. So it's really hard to find aftercare, but we have the program. We take kids, our kids unit is adorable and heartbreaking. So you see little children shouldn't be in a hospital. and separate units for boys and girls for adolescents. Adolescent boys unit is a tough unit. Tough guys, tough kids coming in. They've been around, so they know the game. Adolescent girls unit is the largest unit in the hospital, and it's the busiest unit. We can't always get girls in when the need is. We do have availability today. Okay, so the website again, riveredgehospital.com is a good resource. So if you need anything, you know, that's a good place to look. And there's a online request for assessment. So I think it's 3 questions. So if you want to have a quick assessment, you fill this form out. It takes about a second. You can do it when you're in the office with people in front of your machine, or just give them the referral to do it. We'll call back within 24 hours to set up an appointment. We are about a day out on appointments. So it could be a 2-day wait. If the form comes in on the weekend or a Friday late, then it will be Monday. But it's there, and if you really just want to get somebody into something very, very quickly, that'll work. Outpatient services, you know, the complete continuum. We don't have PHP in person, but we do have some outpatient for our children and for our adolescents. Adult is all virtual. We do have a virtual option for children and adolescents as well. And our buses, you know, we have a transportation company within the hospital. So we're again picking up kids within a 12-mile radius. Hopefully soon we'll be going to the borders of Chicago. So a pretty wide area we can pick up kids. I don't recommend that you use our bus services because sometimes those poor kids are sitting in that bus for 2 hours. And then they have to stop at a gas station for the bathroom. So it's tough. It's tough on that. I don't think I have anything else. Oh, kids get a day of school. So a lot of particulars, you know, again, almost everything that is needed for behavioral health can be done at River Edge. And I can help you do that. It would be very difficult to navigate it by just saying, I want to have this, or I need this, or I need this. You're going to be transferred around. So if you do have something that you want, or if you need to refer somebody for hospitalization, intake should be simple. And I say should be because 95% of the time it's very well done. I have to say they work very well. There's up to 8 people in the department. They're all master level. They're all experienced SAS clinicians. So they really know what to do. And they know how to process people. We process over 5,000 people a year through the hospital. And that's bringing them into stabilization and back into the community. So, and we've been around since 1963 doing this, and it wasn't always a great hospital, and it's learned to be a great hospital. And it has wonderful leadership, I have to say. So that's my story, and thank you very much. Anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Does your unit that addresses problematic sexual behavior only for boys or for girls as well?
Only boys. All right, thanks.
Sure.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, thank you, Ricky, and next up is Steve Avalon from Behavioral Services Center.
I'm an old school teacher, so I'm gonna shout really loud, I think.
Let me-
It'll be better than that, I promise you. And I want to thank Ricky. Ricky kind of like stole my introduction. I'm also from family and good to serve the community. And as Ricky was saying, you know, working with members of the LAN and working in the community is really important. My first conversation this morning was with Ricky. Like, hi, I've got a situation right now. I've got to get somebody inpatient. Can you help me out? And if it isn't Ricky at River Edge, then it's going to be someone from Streamwood, it's going to be someone from Chicago Behavioral, it's going to be somebody from Rogers. We've got a great network. We might have kids right now, and I'll talk more about the Behavioral Services Center in a second, but because of COVID, we're not taking anyone under 12 currently. But we have a LAN. So I get a call every 2 or 3 hours for someone 8, 9, 10, 5, 6. And I know that I have someone that I can refer them to, and it's not just an agency. I know I have an individual that they can call and they can coordinate and they can get the care they need. So thanks for letting us be part of this LAN. It's a wonderful thing. Please use it as much as you can. It's a great, great resource. Again, my name is Steve Applebaum. I'm the director of the Child and Adolescent Program at Behavioral Services Center. We're located at 8707 Skokie Boulevard. We have a nice office now, well decorated. I'm so happy that we don't get to use much because of COVID. We have adult programs and adolescent program. Our adult program is primarily substance abuse, domestic violence, anger management, individual and family therapy, and couples therapy. We take all insurances. There is an insurance company. Well, I take that back. There's one that we don't take. It is, shoot me, I can't remember the name. It's the one that's with the military.
TRICARE.
TRICARE. We don't take TRICARE. So go figure. It's the only one we don't take. But we take all insurances for both adolescent and adult programs. So again, adult program is substance abuse, domestic violence, anger management, individual and couples counseling. For the adolescent side, currently we're working with 12 to 18-year-olds. If they happen to have had an IEP in school, or if there's a developmental issue, we will go up to their 22nd birthday. We kind of figure out how to work with the 18 to 22, still have them classified as adolescents, but we're not mixing them with one. So our programs work with people with mood disorder, anxiety disorder, eating disorder, and we have outpatient for individual and family, and intensive outpatient programs, partial hospitalization programs, and that's what we do. For those of you that know what those things are, that's a great thing. For those of you who don't, I will tell you what intensive outpatient and partial hospitalization programs are. Intensive outpatient is for someone, and we typically get a referral from a hospital saying someone's being discharged after stabilization. So we'll get a call from River Edge, and their care coordinator will call us up and say, hi, we have a person who lives in Skokie or Morton Grove or Niles or Evanston. And they will say, this person is going to be discharging. They've been 10 days at River Edge. And they would like good follow-up and aftercare because they've been stabilized, now they need treatment. So the level of care would be partial hospitalization or intensive outpatient. Partial hospitalization program is approximately 5 hours a day, approximately 5 days a week, where they're getting very, very specific and extensive counseling and therapy to learn how to eliminate the symptoms and behaviors of their disorder, to manage their thoughts, feelings, and emotions, to, again, overall, make sure that safety is maintained and the treatment interfering behaviors are eliminated. Once they are stabilized to the point where safety is not a concern and treatment interfering behaviors are mitigated or limited, then they would step down to something called intensive outpatient. Intensive outpatient is 3 days a week, approximately 3 hours a day, with very, very similar components of counseling and therapy. Both of those programs include a component of family therapy and individual therapy as well. The individual therapy might be on a daily basis, it might be once a week. The family therapy might be on a daily basis, it might be once a week. It's all very challenging, but we are very, very committed to making us the last stop for anybody that has to have mental health services. We typically get kids who've had multiple hospitalizations, multiple suicide attempts, multiple instances of suicidal ideation. And we have a very, very strong and well-trained staff. We ascribe to something called dialectic behavior therapy, which is cognitive behavior therapy, to give kids specific skills to manage their symptoms and behaviors and their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. But at the core, we're there. We can't say we're here to cure you. It's unethical. But we will say at intake, we are here to eliminate the symptoms and behavior. We're here to figure out what's it going to take to make this go. And what's it gonna take to make it so that nobody ever has to go, like Ricky was saying, we don't wanna see kids in hospital. And what's it gonna take for a young person to learn that they can't control the world, but the world doesn't have to make them suffer on a daily basis. That the world is the world, and they're gonna figure out how to manage and navigate. So that's what we do. If you have any questions, I'm available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. My direct phone number is 312-952-0040. It is on all our brochures. The agency overall has a website, and adolescent program is on Facebook. The kids can play with it. So the adolescent program is Facebook Behavioral Services Center Adolescent Program, something like that. Feel free to contact me anytime if you have any questions or if there's anything we can do to help. And again, thank you all for being our partners in the community. It is so great to have you as resources.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Next up is Ruth Orm Johnson from Niles Township Government. Okay. And then Laura Lindroth from Rainbows for All Children. Thank you. This is a slideshow, is that open?
Yeah. Okay, thanks. I wasn't sure the format, so.
It might be on the other
Oh,
side.
yeah. Might be on the other.
Yeah.
Sure. Hi. Hi. And then I'll need to share it right on the Zoom. Well, it's not gonna work. Oh, it won't. Okay. Okay.
If you wanna, you can email that to me and Abby after, we can
Yes.
attach it to the.
Yeah, I actually sent it to you last
Oh,
night.
okay,
so-
great.
Oh,
Thank you.
no worries. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so you should have it if you want to share it. Okay. Good morning. My name is Laura Lindroth. I'm the Director of Programming and Community Engagement at Rainbows for All Children. Thank you so much for the time that you're giving us all today. I'm going to share a little bit about what we do, why it's important, how to refer families to our program, and how to get involved. Since 1983, Rainbows for All Children has been assisting youth and their families during the most challenging and turbulent times of life. Oh, this is so sensitive. When they're grieving from significant loss. To date, we've supported over 4 million children and teens worldwide. We are currently in 37 states and 12 countries, and our headquarters is in Evanston. So we train volunteers in community-based sites such as schools, faith-based organizations, community centers, and libraries like this to lead support groups for children ages 3 to 18 who are experiencing grief as the result of an absent family member. This is typically the result of something like death, separation or divorce, incarceration, deportation, et cetera, all the things listed there. And we also see other underlying issues come out very often in our groups, things like community violence, household substance use disorder, violence, and other underlying issues. And we also have support groups specific to community crises, addressing things like the pandemic or racial trauma, and groups for grieving parents and caregivers as well. 6 of the aforementioned pillars of loss affect more than 68% of children living in the US. And these statistics are pre-pandemic. We know that it's affecting a lot more youth right now. Statewide research studies have found that here in Illinois, as much as half of all youth, and maybe potentially even more, have experienced or will experience multiple adversities before the age of 18. And these numbers are reflected in many other states as well, particularly with the pandemic affecting things like economic hardship, illness, and deaths in families. So many of you are probably familiar with the Adverse Childhood Experiences, or ACEs, and the CDC Kaiser Permanente study that was done in 1996 that showed that really there's a lot more adversity occurring in childhood than we were ever aware of. And the economic hardship and separation or divorce are the 2 most prevalent adversities. And in addition to the worsening economic conditions, psychologists and pediatricians are reporting that they have seen a rise in parental abuse and neglect,
substance use disorder, mental illness, and divorce, all during the pandemic. Researchers have found that there is a graded dose-response relationship between experiencing adversity in childhood and an increased risk of negative health outcomes in young adulthood and later in life. And those with 4 or more ACEs are 12 times more likely to die from suicide, in addition to the other kinds of things listed here. What causes many of the poor health outcomes is what's termed prolonged or toxic stress. This is when a child is under so much stress from some type of trauma in their life, whether it be a divorce or whether it be something really significant like a child abuse or neglect case. They are in this constant state of fight, flight, or freeze, and they just can't get out of that. It's like being stressed out all the time, and it impairs the normal development of their brains and bodies. The antidote to this is providing them with coping mechanisms and tools to revert back to the parasympathetic state of rest, repair, and digest, so that they can calm down and feel better. Of course, what's causing a lot of youth ongoing stress right now is the COVID-19 pandemic. Studies on the aftermath of other disasters, hurricanes, 9/11, fires, things like that, indicate that about 30 to 50% of children have some initial negative reaction to a traumatic event, symptoms of depression and anxiety, things like that, but they eventually bounce back. About 33% are just fine and don't seem to really have any effect from any significant distress from a traumatic event. But the remaining 15 to 30% have persistent problems, including physical symptoms like headaches and fatigue, as well as depression, anxiety, and even post-traumatic stress response. These most vulnerable children really struggle in school, and they may have things like long-term learning and memory issues, children who have pre-existing mental health conditions or have added stressors such as poverty or abuse, or have the most direct exposure to the disaster, a tree falling on their house, for instance, or a family member dying of COVID. Those are the ones that are at most risk for long-term problems. And those are the ones we really want to affect. What we know from decades of research in children's mental health is that the best means of preventing negative health outcomes from occurring is having the consistent caring support of at least one adult in their lives. This type of support, along with good nutrition, sleep, exercise, mindfulness activities, and healthy relationships in general, are critical to healing and moving forward. And ideally, that adult would be a parent or caregiver, but sometimes it can be somebody like a support group facilitator. Oh, I just have to wave my hand and it magically appears. Developed initially in response to the 9/11 tragedy in 2001, Silver Linings is our community crisis support group that provides social emotional learning skills around coping and problem solving, managing anger and stress, and improving communication, all within the comfort of a support group of peers. Facilitated and trained by certified adult volunteers, the groups focus around activities and discussion on topics such as fears and worries, anger and hurt, and finding positive experiences even in difficult situations. In Silver Linings, each of the 4 elementary, middle, and high school levels is comprised of 7 30 to 60-minute meetings with a final wrap-up celebration at the 8th meeting. Meetings are generally held twice a week for 4 weeks, so it's done within a month. And topics are focused around finding the silver lining or looking for the positive outcomes of even the most dire situations. Children and teens participate in mindfulness activities that encourage discussion. And they share their stories when they're ready and feelings going on inside of them, which is essential to healing. They are given tools like breathing exercises, meditation, and other practices that help them relax and bring down those stress levels, even outside the group. Parents and caregivers are given a guide to help how they can understand how they can also support their children and teens as well. The Rainbow Support Group program that addresses the absence of a family member is very similar to Silver Linings, but it's designed to provide a longer duration of support while the child works through the process of grief and healing from their particular loss. This program is structured as 12 weekly 30 to 60-minute meetings and addresses emotions like fears and worries, guilt, anger, grief, and it assists participants to really work through their feelings, learn methods and techniques to assist them in feeling better. And what they really get out of this is learning that they're not alone in what they're experiencing. And that's often the biggest reward that they get out of these kinds of groups. I didn't realize there's other kids that are going through the same kind of thing. These are the, oh, skipped ahead, sorry. Oh, I said it skipped on me. These are the sites that we have in and around the LAN 41 area and how you can find a group near you. Most Rainbow sites operate groups based on the academic calendar. So generally they start in early fall and again in the spring. Sometimes the group will put one in the winter or squeeze one in. Some of our sites are open to the community, meaning that anyone can join. Those tend to be any of the sites that are not at schools. Schools tend to be just for their enrolled students generally. And most of these, as you can see, are schools. So this is the only open site we have in this area. The site status is listed for each individual location. Children are welcome to attend groups as many times as they want, and they can progress through the different levels as well. And we do have parent and caregiver materials available in Spanish, Arabic, and Mandarin, and we'll have Polish by December. So while this is a great resource to refer families to, as you can see, we could use more sites in this area and of course worldwide. We encourage you to see whether this program, think about whether this program might be something that your service and program and agency and organization could offer as an additional service. It's really a turnkey operation to kind of plug this in, get the training, get the resources, and add it as a service for your programming, existing programming. Because this is not counseling or therapy, it's strictly a support group. Any volunteer over the age of 18 with a clean federal background check can be trained to and certified to lead these groups. I'm getting out of breath because of this mask, I'm so sorry. College students that are looking for internship opportunities or experience in the mental health field can also be trained to facilitate groups. And we have lots of intern and volunteer opportunities in our office doing indirect service and outside facilitating groups with direct service. So feel free, there's a job listing on the back there along with other resources too. Becoming a support group facilitator can be very rewarding and a very positive experience. And while it can be challenging to assist children in their darkest times, it feels incredible to witness them and the changes in them as they move through the process of grieving and healing. So thank you very much. I appreciate you listening today.
And next up is Paula Truitt-Aloha and Ron Wynn from the DCFS Currency Enhancement Project.
Word of mouth one. So that's okay. We'll pick it up. Oops. Maybe we'll pick it up. Oh, word of mouth one. Oh. Control Alt everything. Oh. It's on the device. I'm sorry. Close it, close it. See, it's not HDMI, it's not connecting. Zoom is working. Let me try. Who does languages? Okay. This one is on. It's mine. Okay. Liz.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Paula Truitt Lohan, and I am the statewide administrator for the Permanency Enhancement Project with DCFS. Permanency Enhancement Project started in 2007 in Southern Illinois. The focus was to look at African-American youth and children of color that were disproportionately remaining in care longer than their white counterparts. Out of that, it came forums to look at what were some of the barriers that prevented these families and children that remained in care and to stay in care longer. So once that project got started, it spanned to the regions throughout Illinois, statewide, from central region all the way up to northern region. We have approximately 4 groups that we partner with in terms of the universities that look at data to look at how and what are the barriers to permanency for these families. In that, we also collaborate with community stakeholders, which is a local action team that are developed to look at barriers within those communities to see how they can assist these families and what would be the outcome of helping these families achieve permanency at a much quicker rate. In that, we also look at the statistics that drive these and come up with focus-driven action plans through the local action communities to come up and to talk about systemic barriers to permanency, whether that be implicit bias, structural, infrastructural, or policy within a department. We are also changed policies through our transformation teams as well. When we look at those and say, what is the barrier? Is it a court issue or is it a resource issue? And out of that, we collaborate as a team, again, community-driven, to ensure that we are looking at and coming up with a community-based plan to ensure that our families, Black and brown children and families of color, can receive the same rate of permanency as their white counterparts. I want to talk about some statistics that also help to drive that in as of 2001, our new fiscal year, 2021, we had a total of 251,000 calls to the hotline. Out of that, out of those calls within the fiscal year, we had 8,275 youth to enter into care. 14% of the cases of families that came into care were African-American children. So out of that, we look at the disproportionate number of youth coming into care and those remaining in care. And again, through a community-based driven solution, talk about how we can partner together and provide the services or strategies needed to move these families to permanency. The ultimate goal of the Permanency Enhancement Project is to either prevent families from coming into care or to help families to exit care and to remain at home. The department cannot do it without your support. We partner as a means of getting resources together collaboratively through the focus of families and children. In those groups, we just not only look at DCFS, again, we look at community stakeholders, parents, lived experience to talk about the barriers and experiences they live. The department does not always get it right, but we want to make sure that we are in partner in collaboration with our community providers so that we can get it right. What I want to talk about those statistics. Also, when we look at that, there were approximately, out of those 251,000 calls, That broke down, and when I looked at that statistic, we have on an average of 365 days, 22.67 cases per day of youth entering into foster care. We talk about a pandemic. This is a pandemic. When we have families entering into care. But we want to look at why are they entering into care? Where are we going with the future? Where are we going with our families and how can we assist? And with that being said, I want to turn over to Ron, who's also worked with me in helping to establish some of what we call our local area network or our action teams to talk about, some of the projects and things that he's working on to offer assistance.
Thank you. People, when you work for or you contract, people say, well, what are you doing to help? Well, my background is that I've worked at DCFS for 4 decades. I was a LAN liaison for at least 20 of those years. It's kind of hard for me to say this, but I was one of the original LAN liaisons. So I kind of know how this works, and that's why they brought me back. The whole action team or purpose enhancement project, like Ms. Lohan was saying, was in 2007. And what happened was disproportionality was much more definite then, because at that time, I think we had 67% of all the youth at DCFS were African American. We had to do something about it. So what we did was, we had this land concept. At that time, we had 62 lands throughout the state. We had about 33 land layers on. But we had the infrastructure to get something going to address this problem. And so what happened, we decided to come up with this concept of action team and transformation team. The action team is more community-based. That's what we are out here to do today, try to get people to be involved with the action team through the community. The transformation team is more of your upper echelon people who to deal with the systematic basis of whatever's going on. And so at that time, we had several action teams working, and a lot of people said, well, how do the action teams help, all of you? 2 things came out of the action team that are really working right now. How many of you are familiar with fictive kin? You ever heard of that? Right. Fictive kin came out of an action team on the South Side, that concept. Because when I started with DCFS years and years ago, in order to have a relative placement, you either had to be a grandparent. When I first started, the grandparents only. So you could not be a relative foster parent unless you were a grandparent. So it evolved to like almost a second cousin, right? But as we found, and I think the young lady, the lady who did the grief counseling, one of the things that happens when the youth goes into care, that's a stressful time for them. And it's always good to have somebody you're familiar with when you go into care, right? It makes it a little more easy to deal with. So what happened was, we recognized that, that sometimes a youth has a relationship with a teacher, somebody in the neighborhood, somebody they know that may not be a parent or a relative. That's where fictive kin came in. So we treat fictive kin like relative foster care. So that kind of helped us with this permanency piece we're trying to achieve. So that came out of the action team. Another thing came out of the action team was we have a handbook. One of the things that happens in DCFS is that a lot of people come to the parents, they don't have a clue what goes on in court. When that child is taken, they don't have a clue to what's going on. So what we did was we saw it as an issue, one of the action teams, and they came up with a handbook. Gives you a lot of information about who the court people are, what's the process, also what DCP's is a child protection DCFS. They're supposed to do when they come out to your home. But you do have rights even though they're, you're being investigated. So all that came out of the action team. So those are things that the community saw as an issue, but DCFS had to address. And through this action team and the permanent enhancement project, that information helped us with our goal of reducing the amount of kids that come into care and also kids returning home. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do is trying to recruit more people to be involved in actions. It's kind of hard to talk to this man. Anyway, so I appreciate, the opportunity to come and talk to you all, and hopefully we can recruit some people to be on the action team in LAN 41.
So we do have brochures in the back that actually outlines the goals and the objectives of the action team. So the permanency enhancement project, it looks like this. But I discovered that there is no contact information on these brochures. So I can be reached at 773-371-6315 is my direct number. My cell number is 312-270-3398. And we would love to partner with you as well as our partners that we have with the Family Advocacy Center that also assists families that come into DCFS care and those who are not part of DCFS. So that we would love to have you as our community stakeholders again to help us to look at how we can reduce the number of youth and families that remain longer in care and to help us to come up with solutions as to bring them back to their communities with community-based services. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Paul and Ron. And if you're looking for their contact information, you're unable to find it, you can also reach out to me and I can forward that to you because I work with Paul and Ron in the Permanency Enhancement Project. Next up, we have Laura Quiros from Metropolitan Family Services.
Do the slide.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Laura Quiros. I am from Metropolitan Family Services. We have different locations in Chicago, Cage, and we happen to have one here in Skokie. We are located on 5210 Main Street. Our main phone number is 847-425-7500. And I'm going to talk about 3 different programs, 2 of them very briefly, and then I will elaborate a little bit more on our early childhood education home-based program. So I'll talk about the adult protection services and substance abuse prevention services. Our adult protection services works with the Illinois Department on Aid in Adult Protection. This program particularly serves adults who have been neglected or have reported abuse. In the category that we work with is 60 years and older. And we also work with adults ages 18 to 59 with disabilities. So if you happen to work with any of these population, and then if there's any suspected abuse, then our agency does have this program that can support you on that. We also have the substance abuse prevention services, and this is more for the youth. This program particularly goes and works with teachers. They have a curriculum, they have a whole program, and the idea is that they work with the youth on how to prevent them to be exposed to drugs, kind of like making them think about and make better choices when they're exposed to drugs. So, and then I will talk about our early childhood education home visiting program. This is a program that is federal funded. It's early Head Start. I don't know if any of you is familiar, maybe you are. But this is home-based. This is a home visiting program. So we work with expecting parents and families with children 0 to 3. So the home visiting program work is we do weekly home visits. It can be either virtual or in person. So Head Start has a very holistic approach. And even though every time we think about Head Start, we think about preschools and education, we also have that family support work. So then what we do is that we go to the family's homes. We use parents as speakers as our research-based curriculum, and we bring activities information from that curriculum to support the parents. And also to work with the parents so they can become or they can build those skills to become their children's main educators. So the whole idea is that we support parents to support their children on their development and develop the educational skills. So we do also educational, developmental screenings. So that helps us to have a better idea on where the kids are and how we can support the parents, support the children, and if we need to make any referrals, let's say from early intervention. This is an income-based program. So in order for families to qualify, we're going to ask for proof of income, proof of address, and usually we ask for birth certificate. We have 3 categories where the families will qualify automatically. Those will be families with children in foster care, families with SSI, or families who fall under the multi-dental or homeless category. So we also offer socializations. And what we do during the socialization is that we extend what we do in the visit, but then we do it with all the families. Right now, we're doing it virtually for the obvious reasons. And we also do monthly parent meetings. So what we do during the parent meetings is that we offer information about mental health, nutrition, dental health, or if we identify a specific resource that the families need, then we'll talk about that resource. Let me see what else I have for our. So yeah, we also, with that family support, we also try to see if there is any need identified in the family, then we try to connect the family in the community with that resource. So that can be anything from like food bags to diapers, and also if there's any need of a referral, then we try to identify that agency or that program that can support the family. We are, our perimeter is District 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 73 and a half, and 74. And these districts are in Lincolnwood, Morton Grove, Skokie, and Niles. So if you happen to have you're working with any family that might benefit from our program, you can directly contact me at 630-392-9354. I'm also going to place some flyers at that table. I do have English, Arabic, and Urdu. Arabic and Urdu are a little bit difficult to identify. But just see if you have any families that you're working in that speak Arabic or Urdu. And then in the flyer, you have the main intake number. But if you have any more questions, you would like to know more about our program, just give me a call. I'm sure Abigail can send that information as well. I don't know if anyone has any questions. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. Thanks for turning the camera because I have to watch myself.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Danielle Carlton. I'm with Chicago Behavioral Hospital. We are a 145-bed freestanding behavioral health hospital located down the street in Des Plaines. We've got a number of different programs, and I'll just kind of give you the brief rundown, and then if anyone has questions, you can always ask. First and foremost, we have an adolescent unit. It's a small unit. It's only 10 beds. That unit, we treat a lot of mood and anxiety disorders, but we also work with some kids who have some behavioral issues. And then the other thing that I want to highlight about our adolescent unit is that, you know, the way that the program works, we obviously have school involved too. So we have a teacher on staff He's there Monday through Friday. They get an hour of classroom time. And then if any kids need extra time to take a test or to do other work, our teacher has the ability to bring them back to the classroom, either individually or in small groups, which is really nice. Our teacher helps coordinate with school staff and with parents to get schoolwork from the schools, and also in terms of a reentry plan. Our adult services include a number of general mental health units, including our open adult unit, which is our lower acuity adult unit. We treat a lot of mood and anxiety issues on that unit. We have a transitional care unit, which is a little bit higher acuity. We see a lot of bipolar disorder. We see a lot of schizophrenia, other psychotic disorders. And then we have an intensive treatment unit, and that's for our patients who are experiencing the most severe symptoms. So oftentimes when folks come to us and they are really in crisis, they will come in on our intensive treatment unit, and then they'll kind of graduate to one of the other programs once they're stabilized with medication and therapy. We also have a dual diagnosis program, which is for folks who are struggling with substance use behaviors along with a mental health diagnosis. On that unit, we can also do just straight detox. So if somebody is just needing detox in order to be able to move on to like a residential program or something like that, we can accommodate that. We also have a women's program, which is a program only for women. It is more of a trauma-focused treatment. So we work with women on that unit who have histories of some type of trauma, PTSD, things like that. And then we also can work with women on that unit who are pregnant and postpartum. In terms of our outpatient programs, they're pretty small right now. We did have an adolescent partial hospitalization program, but because of COVID, we closed it. So right now we don't have any plans to reopen PHP. We have discussed opening an IOP, which is a partial day program for adolescents, but nothing confirmed yet. But we do still have intensive outpatient programs for adults. Those run Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Adults who attend that program can come 3 to 5 days a week. And right now we have a couple of in-person groups as well as one virtual group. As far as insurance, we accept pretty much all insurance. We're in network with all major policies, including Medicare and Medicaid. In order to seek services with us, to make a referral, folks can call into our intake number, which is 847-768-5330, or they can just walk in. So we accept walk-ins 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and our intake line is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as well. So we make ourselves as accessible as possible. And then one other thing that I wanted to mention is that we really like to develop community partnerships with other organizations in the area. So if there is some need for a training or a presentation to staff, to parents in a school, to community members in some kind of organization, we do have some ability to do those presentations. We have a lot of partnerships actually coming up in the next couple of weeks. So if that's of interest to you, you can always reach out to me directly as well. That's all I've got. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, great to see everybody.
Thank you, Danielle. Next up, we have Jackie Kretschmer from JCFS Chicago. I'm responsible.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Jackie Kretschmer. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am a community educator at Response for Teens, which is part of the larger organization of JCFS Chicago. If you haven't heard of JCFS, it stands for Jewish Child and Family Services. And really the main goal of the organization is just to serve individuals kind of just regardless of identity. We don't only serve the Jewish community. And just to help people kind of live successfully in their community. We serve people of all ages. We serve people with disabilities, and we also have immigration services as well. So I am going to walk everyone through just kind of, we have so many different departments and so many different services that we offer. So I'm just going to kind of go through each of our main services And then I'm going to dive a little deeper into our highest immigration services, as well as response for teens, which is our adolescent services, which is where I work. So first, we have our program for children, adolescents, and families. We have K through 12 education and above, and also yeshiva programming at our NAP school. We have speech, language, occupational, and developmental therapy through our integrated pediatric therapies program. We have counseling for children and families at our Virginia Frank Child Development Center. We have psychological testing and evaluation, as well as therapy for disruptive behaviors in children. We have specialized case management for children in foster care. And we have response for teens, which has counseling and education services. So I'm going to dive a little deeper into response. At response, we serve people ages 12 to 24, so even a little beyond the teen years. And we have two main departments. We have our counseling department and our outreach and education department. And in our counseling department, we have clinicians who, again, work with people ages 12 to 24. They do individual therapy, they do family therapy as well. For our outreach and education department, which is what I'm a part of, we go around to different schools, like middle schools and high schools in Chicago and the suburbs, including actually both Niles North and Niles West, and teach a variety of different types of lessons. So we teach a lot of sexual health education, healthy relationship education, and teen dating violence prevention, mental health, social media, stress and self-care, a lot of different types of things. So that's kind of our main two departments at Response. We also have leadership programming at Response for Teens. So we have a program called Operation Snowball, which is for high school students. And it's a leadership program where we have team leaders who work with us the entire school year and have weekly meetings with us. And they basically are creating workshops about topics that they care about to plan a retreat that happens in the spring and that they run for other teenagers. So that's another main program that we have at Response. Now I'm going to go on to talk about our programs mainly just for individuals. So we have counseling and support groups for adults, couples, and families. We also have divorce mediation, coaching, and counseling. We have our JVS Career and Employment Center, which does career counseling, training, and customized job placement. We also, through that same program, have specialized employment programs supporting youth and older adults as well. And then we have also immigration and citizenship services through our HIAS Immigration and Citizenship Department. And I'm going to dive a little deeper into HIAS. I have some flyers in the back with information, just general information and our contact information about HIAS. So HIAS is the Immigration and Citizenship program at JCFS. We have legal services caseworkers that are certified by the U.S. Department of Justice that offer immigration legal services. And those caseworkers speak English, Russian, and Spanish. And anyone who needs legal help can call the intake line, which is on the flyers that we have in the back. Also, I wanted to highlight a program that HIAS is actually just about to begin with the Skokie Public Library. And it's called like the Citizenship Interview Practice and Immigration Information Table. And it's going to be happening on the first Tuesday of the month, beginning in October. And there's no registration required. You can just walk in. I also have a separate flyer about that also in the back. And yeah, so that's kind of the gist of our HIAS program. Now I'm going to go on to talk a little about individuals in our community seeking education and support and the programs that we offer for that. We have addiction services, loss, illness, and spiritual support, adoption and infertility support. We also have abuse prevention support. We have connections to counseling, education, and prevention services through different community partnerships. And lastly, we have our programs for people with disabilities and their families. We have community-based group living. We have support and assistance for independent living. We have a home-based waiver for children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We have a specialized recreational camp for children and teens, which is called Camp Firefly, that happens during the summer. And we have job training and customized employment opportunities and legal representation, consultation, and referral services. Those are all of the services that we offer for people with disabilities. And there's one more kind of section. There's our programs for professionals. We have training in early childhood education. And then we also have an internship program for social work and psychology students. So we have, like, at Response for Teens, we have a social work, like a clinical intern every year who's a social work student. So that is all that I have. If there aren't any questions, or if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, I have, I left also business cards in the back if anybody would like to contact me. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie. Next up is Carrie Queen from Niles Township District of Special Education.
Hi, my name is Terry Queen. I'm from Niles Township District for Special Ed. We are the special ed co-op for the 9 elementary districts within Skokie, Morton Grove, Lincolnwood, and Niles. We have a self-contained building called Malloy Education Center, and that's located in Morton Grove, where we service individuals from 3 to 22. These masks are hot. Oh, sorry. Okay. We also have 21 satellite classrooms that are housed within the general education classrooms within the township as well. We have an early childhood program that is housed at Myers School in Skokie. So the service that we can provide community members is developmental screenings for preschool age children. So if you're working with a family member who has a preschool age child that they are having concerns about developmentally, we encourage you to have them contact us and we can do a screening for them. The information is on the back. The dates are provided and an appointment is needed. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, well, now I'm going to switch gears. So now I'm the Niles Township Clothing Center representative. They were not able to come, but about 6 years ago, we were fortunate enough to have the clothing center open in our township. So it is located at St. Paul Lutheran Church in Skokie. That's right. I'm really bad at directions, so I'm gonna go that way maybe. It's a neighbor of the library, thank you. And it's an easy process. So anybody that a family is working with within an agency, within the township, or a school personnel member can refer the family for clothing. Right now, prior to COVID, the family was actually able to go in and they had it set up so cute. It's like a little boutique, they could shop themselves. Now we're doing more of the contactless. So there's a referral that they can have completed by, like I said, either an agency member or a school personnel member. And they just fax it into the church. Then the family will call for an appointment for pickup, and then they just pick it up on the scheduled time. So it's really easy. The referral isn't back, but it's also on our LAN 41 website as well. Right now, I think we're about to give out 4 to 5 outfits per individual in the household. And we do have clothing for infants through adulthood. Any questions? Okay, great, thank you.
Rosa, would you like to talk about the land?
Sure, I have a schedule. I thought we just put you on the spot, but I didn't know if you were planning on talking about it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. For a minute, I have a schedule.
I wasn't ready, but.
Sure. You want me to talk about it?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to see because there's a black on there.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's still recording. All right. So before we jump into the next presenter, I just wanted to reference our Land 41 wraparound funds, or right now they're called the Angelo Militello Emergency Funds. And so these are wraparound funds we've had many, many years ago, the land had, but now we currently have them again. We had them last fiscal year, and then we're going to have them for the next 2 fiscal years. So on our land website, there is a link to an application form. And so this application is really meant for all of you who are working directly with students and families to fill out with them or on behalf of them to request financial assistance of some kind. Typically in the past, these funds are used for things like extracurricular activities, like summer camps, music lessons, things like that. But the past year and a half or so, due to COVID, we've really expanded those financial resources to pay for things up like utilities, rent, things like that to meet people's basic needs if they need it. And so if you have a family or a student that would benefit from these funds, you would fill out this application with them or for them. And then we have a pretty quick turnaround time to respond to you. We'll probably ask for more questions. There's some documentation that we would need from you. For example, if it was to pay for a utility bill, we would need a copy of the bill. And then we can disperse up to $750. So that's kind of our cap. But yeah, so if you have any families over the next year or two who would benefit from this, please visit our website. I'll be sending out that website information along with all of the presenters' information afterwards with the recorded video. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Claire from Lauren from Rogers Behavioral Health. I don't think so. Okay, Shannon Parsons from the Children's Advocacy Center. Hello, I'm Shannon Parsons. This is Allison Stoll, my colleague. So yeah, we're with the Children's Advocacy Center, specifically the Evanston office. Just to sort of cap our services. So we do offer free services for all families and clients. Those include the forensic interviewing and court advocacy, which are out of our Northbrook office and our Hoffman Estates office. We also offer trauma therapy to clients. And so we have the Safe from the Start program, which is under 6. And then the FSS program, which is approximately 7 to 18. There's a couple occasions where we take some a little bit older, but usually it's 18. And those are offered out of the Evanston office, as well as our Streamwood office. We do provide our services in both English and Spanish. And that goes for the forensic interviewing, advocacy, and therapy services. And then right now we are offering both virtual and in-person options for therapy. And then we do also provide community presentations. That would be either just sort of going over what we do or going over any sort of trauma.
So our catchment area, just to give you guys an idea, we're just north of, so we're north of Northwest Cook County, which is considered Evanston, so the lake, and then go all the way out to Streamwood, which if anyone has not been out there, just take 90 and go past medieval times. It's a little bit out that way. So we have a very large catchment area, only a few offices. We're kind of, you know, we are playing a little bit of catch up, like I know a lot of you guys are with the pandemic. We do have a wait list at both locations, unfortunately, where we provide those services. Our forensic and advocacy services are largely where our referrals come from. So essentially anyone in that catchment area that just outlined, the child makes a disclosure of abuse, they should be sent to our center for a forensic interview. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but that's largely how we get our referrals. But our other way of getting referrals is through individuals like yourselves and agencies like yourselves. So we do specialize in that trauma-informed care, and we do offer those trauma-informed services for children and their family members. We do not offer services to offending family members. So it can get a little tricky when there's sibling on sibling trauma happening because both siblings have experienced abuse. We do take those case by case. But if you're experiencing like specifically problematic sexual behaviors, or the kids are living with an alleged offender, unfortunately, we can't provide services for that because we cannot have the offender being a part of the trauma therapy. So like she said, we have those two programs. So basically we get kids all the way from birth to 18. Doesn't matter, you know, you don't have to contact the right program. Again, Evanston is a very small location. So please feel free to reach out to us directly. And if we're not the right program, we'll get you to the right program. And then again, if you guys have any questions, we're happy to answer them now or in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Allison and Shannon. Next up is Dana Fensroy from Pennsylvania.
Hi everyone, my name is Dana Fensroy. I'm the Director of Operations from an organization called Have Dreams. This is a special year for us. We're going on 25 years of service. We're a 501c3 non-for-profit. We have a location in Evanston and in Park Ridge. We offer an array of services for individuals with the diagnosis of ASD. We support the entire spectrum, and we'll highlight a few of the programs that we are currently offering. And I'm here with Darren Tess, who is a fabulous clinician who we recently hired. And exciting times for Have Dreams. We have expanded our services to offer clinical services and employment and areas to support the employment. So here are the services that I'll highlight today is that we offer social skills programs in person right now at our Park Ridge and Evanston locations. And these are highly structured social skills programs. We practice the TEACH methodology. All of our staff are highly trained. Most of them are educators or clinicians or have been in the field for a minimum of 10 years. We offer a workforce program. And if you ever want to head out to our Evanston location right down the street on Dempster, looks like 5 minutes away from here, we have actually a mock retail Walgreens store on site. And we have the programs called the Have Dreams Academy. And it's an intensive boot camp training program for individuals who have a diagnosis of autism, who want to be involved in competitive employment and who want to get a job. So we run those programs 3 times a year. We're right now we're set up for our fall programs, and the end goal for that program, it's offered at our Evanston location, but it's in-house different modules that they go through, different lectures, and then they actually go off and do internships supported by our staff. And then we have one of our head clinicians, she focuses on job development. So the last phase is getting them into a place of employment. Some other programs I'll highlight, then I'll turn off to Darren here, but if you go to our website, www.havdreams.org, we have free online activities that you guys can access and share with your team or your network. These are like downloadable materials, the curriculum that we have developed over the years, and we rotate new material as well. And we also have a Have Dreams store, and these are small, it's like $9.99 for an entire thematic unit. And these are things that we actually use in our social skills programs that we offer at Have Dreams. So feel free to access that. We also do trainings throughout the Illinois and the state of Illinois. So we have a training in person. It's called the BEST training. It's basics of autism instructor teaching. That will be at the end of the month at our Evanston location. I'm going to turn it over to Darren, and she'll talk about clinical services and employment.
Yeah, like Dana said, we have services at Park Ridge and Evanston. We're really lucky to have our doors open right now too. So we're accepting clients in person, but we're also still accepting those telehealth clients. So you can really be from all over the area too, and we can still accept you. Like Dana said, we focus on autism, and we know that people with autism also have 80% of them have co-occurring disorders. So with that clinical side, we can address anything from employment to social anxieties to depression, everything across the board, but we also have that expertise from the autism side too. Let's see, we accept people 6 and up. Again, they have ASD or a related condition. One of our clinicians is really good with like the employment side, and since we just hired you too, we are currently accepting new clients too. So that's really nice because there's so many wait lists around the area. What else? Sessions are usually typically once a week. We're paneled in network Blue Cross Blue Shield. Private pay is also an option, but again, we're accepting new clients, so it's really nice that we have our doors open for everyone.
So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We left flyers up there, and then my business cards are up there as well. So please reach out with any questions about our services. And thank you for hosting.
Thank you, Dana and Darren. Next up is Akash Bhatia from Institute for Therapy through the Arts.
I'm not Akash, but I am here for IT.
Okay,
I'm Savannah. Savannah Couch.
Okay. So I'm here for Institute for Therapy through the Arts. We are a nonprofit creative arts therapies organization. We have offices in Evanston and Highland Park. And we offer all 4 of the creative arts therapies. So that's art therapy, drama therapy, music therapy, and dance movement therapy. And each are a little bit different, but generally the creative arts therapies are psychotherapy services incorporating the use of the creative arts to enhance treatment and help clients meet their specific goals. And so many of our therapists are also licensed clinical mental health counselors or clinical psychologists, in addition to having the training in their specific creative arts therapies field. We have both a private practice in Evanston and Highland Park, and we also do community partnerships where we'll partner with organizations and provide services at their locations for their clientele. And typically those are groups. So in terms of private practice, we currently offer individual therapy and some group therapy services. I brought flyers specifically for the CBT, DBT skills groups that I actually happen to be running. We currently have an active middle school age group program that is in person in Evanston, a virtual adult program, and then we are trying to kickstart the high school age group. So if you have anyone that'd be interested, like I mentioned, the flyers are over there. We currently have availability for individual therapy, but starting to form waitlists for specific creative arts therapies, depending on like day of availability. So something to keep in mind. We accept Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO and Aetna PPO insurance plans. And then we also do offer financial aid sliding scale payments to help clients that we can't accept the insurance from. And then in terms of the intake process, clients can reach out. I'm the intake coordinator, so they'll most likely speak to me. And they'll come in for an intake appointment. And during that appointment, we actually assess which of the 4 creative arts therapies is the best therapeutic fit for them. So I like to think about it how in school, you know, some people are visual learners, some people are audio learners, and we're assessing what of the creative arts therapy skills is going to best enhance their therapy experience and is going to help them best express themselves and gain coping skills. And then in terms of community partnerships, as I mentioned earlier, you're welcome to reach out. I brought the business card for Jeff Wolf, who's our director for community partnerships. If you're interested in working with us and us bringing creative arts therapy services to your location or where you work. And then in addition to the therapeutic services we provide, we have an annual conference every year, and we also provide presentations and trainings about the creative arts therapies and therapy in general. And you can go to our website, which is itachicago.org, and many of our presentations are available for download there if you'd rather just learn something on your own time rather than try to fit another thing into your busy schedules. I think that's everything. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Oh, yes. Yeah, so we have partnered with different schools in the past. We've partnered with different hospitals in the past. We've partnered with like residential homes for that serve clientele with like intellectual disabilities or developmental disabilities. It's pretty broad, and we're always open to exploring different options. Any other question?
Are those then one-off programs or?
Yeah, so like I know some of our school community partnerships have been ongoing for years, and some actually have the benefit of having the same therapist that's there year after year working with the same kids in these group settings. And sometimes it is just that we want an 8-week, 12-week thing. So it really does depend on the community partner. Something both in the community partnerships and individual therapy that or in-house therapy is that we really do focus on that individualized care and what's going to be the best fit. So I guess the answer is like yes and. Anything else? Okay.
Thanks, Savannah. Blair, did you want to go up? Sorry.
No,
you guys are so ahead of schedule. You're technically still early, so.
Perfect. Hi all, Blair Famarin with Rogers Behavioral Health. We are a nonprofit behavioral health center located in Skokie in Illinois and in Hinsdale. But our main location is up in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, where we have residential level of care for kids starting at age 8 all the way up to any age for adults. And in Skokie, we have PHP and IOP level of care, and that starts at age 8 or 6 and goes up to any age for adults. We treat all of our programs are like separate and distinct, and we have specific programming for OCD and anxiety, eating disorder, mood disorder, trauma, and dually diagnosed substance and mental health. And we use cognitive behavioral therapy, DBT, and ACT for most of our groups and individual time. Our groups are skills-based, and every client gets 2 to 3 hours a day of individualized treatment every single day based on which program they're in. We do take all of the insurances. We don't take Medicare or Medicaid, unfortunately, at this time, but we are in network with Blue Cross, Cigna, Aetna, Magellan, Humana, all of the normal private insurances. And if we're not in network, we'll try to get a single case agreement. Clients do get psychiatry with us. So we have board certified child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrists on site all day. And they get twice a week psychiatry and PHP and once a week in IOP. Our PHP is 6 hours a day and our IOP is 3 hours a day, and both are 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. We do some experiential therapy in our program. We've had an art therapist, we do some yoga, but mostly it's that CBT and DBT, as well as some ACT sort of lens in our program. Clients stay about 6 to 8 weeks with us. And we do have a special program to treat children and adolescents who have mood, anxiety, and autism. So that would be any mood disorder, any anxiety disorder, as well as an autism diagnosis. Those kids tend to stay a little bit longer, more 8 to 10 weeks. And it's the same CBT, DBT, but we do give a social skills group that the other kids don't get. And we give more immediate rewards, and just in a quieter part of the clinic. We're right over on golf, kind of by the performing arts within those two towers. We have the whole 6th floor, part of the 5th floor. So it's not like a scary place to come. It doesn't look like a hospital. It's just like an office building. So that's kind of nice for some of the patients. Our intake is really easy. They just call our number, and I put brochures on the back that has all the information, but they just call, do like a 45-minute phone call. If they're under 13, the parent can do it for them. And then that goes to our doctor, who then determines which level of care seems appropriate and which program. Sometimes I get parents calling me like, my kid has depression and anxiety and an eating disorder. I don't know where to send them. So we have the doctor determine that for them. And then we can get them started as soon as possible in our Skokie clinic. We do have a wait list occasionally. Right now, we don't for a lot of our programs for kids, because school started and sometimes there's a little lull when school starts, but typically we do have maybe a 3 to 4 week wait. So I would say my advice is, if you are thinking of getting a kid into us, to maybe give us a call when you're thinking about it and not when it's become an emergency. So then we can get them in the time frame before they really, really need it. If my information's on the back of the Chicagoland brochure, if you do have a kid that it's become an emergency and you really need them in fast, you can always message me and I'll see what I can do to get them in a little faster for you. Either email, text, or call, and I'm happy to try to help. Or if you just have questions, see if this student's the right fit or this adult's the right fit, I'm also happy to help with that, or help direct you to the right place to go to get more information if needed. That's pretty much my full spiel. Do you guys have questions about Rogers? All right, well, thanks for having me, and let me know if I can help. Thank you.
Thank you, Blair. Next up is Iris Barrios from Village of Skokie Health and Human Services.
Morning, everyone. Kelsey said, my name is Iris Barrios with the Village of Skokie. We're Health and Human Services. In the past, we were just Human Services with the Village of Skokie. Over the COVID year, we merged into Health and Human Services. But today, I'm just going to talk about the Human Services division. So in the back, I did leave business cards with my contact information, and then the blue sheets with the services that we do provide. Some of the services have changed over the years, so we did update the sheets here. So I'll just kind of go through some of the services here. So at the Village, we do, and the Human Services Division, we do offer a lending closet. So the lending closet in the past was just for seniors, but we did open it up for all ages. So the lending closet includes wheelchairs, crutches, canes, things like that. So if you have like a teenager, so we serve Skokie residents, and we're located right across the Village Green here at Village Hall. So if you have like a teenager who hurts themselves and needs crutches, and insurance doesn't cover it, just needs it temporarily. So you can check out those crutches, or a senior age who maybe needs a wheelchair. Medicare is taking some time with getting the wheelchair coverage or anything like that. You can rent out a wheelchair or things like that, or needs a cane temporarily. So we have that type of lending closet. It's a small lending closet, so unfortunately we don't have any of the shower chairs, anything like that, but we do reach out to like North Shore Senior Center for any of those bigger type of lending closet type of needs. We also have residential parking for disability parking. So those applications can be found on our Skokie website. So skokie.org would be found on the blue sheet there. We also have our family services as well. So we have a holiday program called Assist a Family. So throughout the year, we'll work with different families that we'll identify, and then also families will also come to us during the holiday program, and then we'll sit down with them, see what their needs are, and assist them through various either food gift cards, holiday gift cards. We've also partnered with different stores like Target, Jewel, and Aldi to see what their needs are. And last holiday season, So 2020, we was over 250 families that were identified in that need. So if you have any families in Skokie, make sure to just send them over our way so we can assist them during the holiday season, because last year was huge, and if we anticipate this year will probably be a greater need as well. So that was one thing. And then if any donations or any partnerships, especially school district, the holiday gift bags are a really great need as well. We also serve, as Councilor mentioned, or I feel like another organization I mentioned, and maybe it's the library. We serve 140 languages in Skokie. So immigration needs, citizenship as well, refugee needs, and different community needs are huge in Skokie. So we at Human Services speak about 6 different languages, and then we also have a language line as well that we use. So we do partner with the Niles Township ELL Parent Center in Skokie, and we had one part-time staff that unfortunately just recently left, but she would go out to the ELL Center a few days a week, and then we also work with different agencies such as the Highest JCFS Center. We partner with them, and then North Shore Legal Aid that's up in Highland Park sometimes comes out to the Village Hall or Niles Township as well. We have a lot of our senior services as well, so we have a lot of home delivered meal referral services. CHIP counseling is a big one here at the Village Hall, with which is Medicare services, the Part D, open enrollment, different social services, benefit access application, which is through Illinois Department of Aging, which is a income eligible program for the license plate discounts and ride-free bus passes through RTA. And then also we have a senior income tax aid program, Simple Wills program, and then various transportation programs, which was the RTA program. And then we also have a program through Teen Link, which refers teens to our seniors through helping out with different snow removals. It could be raking leaves, various different programs. So the teens kind of register to what services they can provide, and then they reach out to the seniors, or the seniors will also ask for the Teen Link list. Another program that we offer with seniors would be well-being checks. And well-being checks could come from neighbor to neighbor, adult children reaching out for a well-being check for their adult parent or their senior parents in Skokie. They also come in through Skokie PD, fire. And so there's another social worker, my colleague Brian and I will go out, as well as the police social worker, Julie Kim, who might be presenting later today as well. So we will go out and do a well-being check and see if there's any referrals or resources or coordination with adult protective services through Metropolitan Family Services, that we will connect them to various services like the community resources that have presented here today. We also have volunteers that come out to assist us, and that would be through Senior Health Insurance Program, the SHIP program, and also volunteers that will assist with reaching out through benefit access, or also now with the health department, we have volunteers that help with contact tracing or other type of volunteer program through the health department, such as the flu clinics or any nursing programs as well. And we have a youth outreach program that Anne Marie Benuzzi runs through the Skokie Police Department. And those, the youth program would be for youth offenders who receive tickets through the youth ordinance violations. And they could be through truancy, curfew, drinking, smoking, or other non-criminal offenses. And that could be through a police officer, a school officer. So they are meeting through juvenile court or the youth, Skokie Youth Offender Court call. Right now, court is just being held through Zoom, so it hasn't opened up through the courthouse at Skokie. But it would just be a special separate court call that is held for youth under 21 years old. So usually we partner with Metropolitan Family Services, Peer Services, and then if they get any volunteer service hours, and also Men in the Making as well. So, so there's a variety of different services that we offer in Skokie, and also we refer and partner with also many of the organizations in Land 41. Any questions? And my contact information is also in the back. The Village Hall? Nope. We're right across the way, so thank you.
Thank you, Iris. Next up, we have Julie Kim from the Skokie Police Department.
Hi, everybody. I'm Julie Kim, social worker with Skokie Police. I do a variety of things there, but my main role is as victim advocate. The majority of my cases are surround domestic violence issues. And that can be anything from domestic battery to verbal threats, telephone harassment, criminal trespass, criminal damage, stalking, things like that. For any of those types of issues, a person could very well be eligible for an order of protection. So that is a lot of what my work entails. Anytime there is a criminal arrest for any of those things, I reach out to the person, the victim, the next day. I don't ever work with offenders, talk to offenders. And I explain what happens at bond courts and whether or not they want an order of protection. If they do, I would be the one assisting them in that process, and I would follow the criminal court case throughout its duration. I also follow up with any domestic violence reports that did not result in an arrest. And I explain that they would have the option then to attempt to obtain a civil order of protection, which are the same exact forms. You're just getting it as part of a civil case opposed to a criminal case. There's also 2 other orders that are available to people. One's called the stalking no contact order, and that's when there's a non-domestic relationship, meaning no, current or formerly dating or married relationship. You're not related through blood or marriage. It's not a roommate situation, and the offender is not a caregiver. So it could be, a former friend, a coworker, a neighbor, things like that. If you are working with somebody where you think they would need either type of order, by all means, they can reach out to me. I'll put my cards back there, but they can also just call the general phone number for the police department. I'm the only social worker, and I'm also the only Julie there. So it shouldn't be hard for them to connect with me. And then there's a third type of protective order, which is called a civil no contact order, which is specifically for victims who have had some type of sexual abuse, sexual harassment, things like that. These are not given from the police. They're given via court order from a judge. So the victim has to be willing to attend court, and it's usually more than one time. At least 2, sometimes 3 for civil cases. It's free, the person doesn't need an attorney. So, but if that order is violated, then it would become a criminal offense. So I'm not going to get into any of the details, but just want to make sure you're aware of all of that so that if you're working with clients, you just know that that could potentially be an option for them. I inform victims of the surrounding domestic violence shelters. There are not any in Skokie. And just as you probably all know, there are no homeless shelters in Skokie. But if someone is in need of a shelter, I do my best to try to connect them. The police also will offer a homeless person a ride to a shelter if that's what they need. Occasionally, I also become involved with cases such as child abuse. I'm so sorry. This is my son. I'm gonna have to call you back, okay? Oh, okay. Thank you. Bye. I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay. So, child abuse, elder abuse. I get a lot of reports that are labeled as domestic disturbance, meaning it's some type of argument in the home, typically, or it could be outside the home, but something where there is that domestic relationship, but a crime didn't occur. So I do not do any type of counseling or therapy per se, but I am constantly giving all of your agencies phone numbers to individuals that are in need of that. What else did I want to tell you? I am on call 24/7 for crisis situation in that they need a social worker right then and there because they want to speak to somebody. Where the officers may not have that time to talk to them. Because they're busy processing a crime scene or something like that. So for example, I might get called out on cases of suicide, homicide, serious domestic violence, sex assault, or it could just simply be somebody that's really, really upset and is requesting to speak to a social worker. Oftentimes, the situations where police are involved can wait until the next morning for me to follow up, but not all the time, and that's fine. I mean, if I need to come in from home, I'm available to do that. What else? I usually tend to go way over my time, so I'm really trying to condense it this year, so I'm kind of going through things quickly. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead. Oh, that's right. That's what I forgot to talk about as well, well-being checks.
We go out together sometimes do well-being checks, and with Brian's not here today, he was out sick, so he's gonna present as well. So we get well-being checks from neighbor to neighbor, police department, fire, we have police reports, and what gives you a question about well-being checks? Just how the process. Sure. I'm coming from a different area.
Yeah, so a lot of times it's usually concerned family members that might call of either a senior family member saying, you know, my mom lives alone. I talk to her every day or every couple of days. She hasn't been answering the phone. Can you go out and check on her? The police will. It's usually the officers. When I get a phone call, or if I or Brian get a phone call, sometimes we'll just, if we are involved with an appointment or something like that, we'll just ask officers to go out. If it's somebody that we're very familiar with, sometimes we'll meet officers out there. If it seems like it's not an emergency type of situation, then we'll usually grab each other and go out there. And if it seems like it's something that needs police intervention, so like if we hear somebody, but they're not answering the door, then we'll kind of get the police involved. And then if they need to get, you know, paramedics there, that type of thing, then, you know, certainly that can happen and they could be taken to the hospital. The other time that we get a lot of well-being check requests are maybe a person with a mental health issue. It could be from a therapist saying, you know, I'm really concerned about this person, they missed their appointment. It could be from a family member that either lives in the home or not, but has a lot of mental health concerns. So the police will go out on those if a person needs to go to the hospital for, you know, a psychological evaluation by a doctor, they can certainly do that. So yeah, I mean, I have found that our officers are really, really good and knowing how to talk to and interact with somebody, whether it's an elderly person who might be confused or a person with a mental health issue. They've had a lot of training on those issues. And if they need to go to the hospital, they're really good at encouraging them, like, hey, I think you need to go to a doctor. And the overwhelming majority of the time, the person ends up agreeing. But they're very good at assessing those situations and knowing what to do and getting a paramedic involved if they need to be there. But anybody is able to call and request a well-being check, whether a person's willing to give their name or not give their name. either way, you tell us the address, the person's name to be checked on, and the concern, and officers do this on a daily basis.
And it's confidential as well, so we just, when somebody asks like, oh, who called on me or something like that, we just let them know it's an intake type of line, so we keep it all confidential and everything. And sometimes it's the landlord. We've gone into hazardous homes where maybe the elderly person just wasn't able to continue taking out the trash, or somebody's receiving home delivered meals and they just kind of piled up over and over and over again, and things like that, or the refrigerator stopped working, so now the food is kind of piled up or something like that in the fridge, or so we just kind of start working with them, and we're meeting them where they're at, starting from that point on and things. So it's, or neighbor to neighbor, landlord, or different situations have happened, so then we just meet them starting from that point on. And maybe they just need in-home services, so we refer to JCFS, CJ, different places there. So yeah, different situations happen.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll put my person there.
Thank you, Julie. We're gonna have Joe Beal from Hartgrove and Garfield Park Behavioral come up and speak real quick.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joseph Beal. I'm with Hartgrove Hospital as well as Garfield Park Hospital. Our parent company is UHS, and we're a psychiatric facility. I'll start with Hartgrove. Hartgrove has over 50 years of experience in the psychiatric field, psychiatric treatment. We treat all ages, children, adolescents, adults, from 3 to 83 at Hartgrove. One of the unique things about Hartgrove is that we admit people based on clinical presentation. So if a person is more outward acting psychosis, then we put them in our acute stabilization unit. And if they're more internal things going on, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideations, they go into our recovery unit. That way one doesn't stimulate the other, and it makes it easier for us to deliver our mental health programming. At our next level of care, that's our most intensive level, is inpatient. Our next level of care would be our PHP program, which is for children and adolescents 6 to 17 years of age. And it's a 5 to 10 day program for individuals that need still intensive care similar to inpatient, but they have a home situation where it's stable and they can go home in the afternoon. And that runs from about 9 to 2:30, Monday through Friday. The next level of care would be our 2 IOP programs, intensive outpatient treatment, for individuals that don't necessarily require inpatient treatment, but they need something a little more intense than traditional outpatient. We have one for adolescents, 12 to 17 years of age. In that program, that's Monday through Thursday, usually about 3:30 to 6:30. We do provide transportation, which is a great benefit because many times individuals do not have transportation. And we have a pretty wide catchment area in terms of where we can pick up. We have about 30 or 40 vans. And then we have our dual IOP program for adults, and that's 17 years of age and up. And that's individuals that may have, along with their psych issues, have substance issues. And we do utilize methadone treatment, and as well as counseling group, and we can also do individuals. So it's not cookie cutter. We can base treatment based on whatever the need is of the patient. Our next level of care, which is our lowest level, is our traditional outpatient treatment. We have one location in Oak Park and one Madison in Oak Park. And that's where we do basically individuals that need 1 to 2 days of psych treatment. And for things like anxiety, depression, we also do family counseling, and it's for all ages. And we have a multidisciplinary team there. And we have one on the south side, 1111 87th Street. So that we can deal with that catchment area on the south side of Chicago. So those are our programs basically at Hartgrove. We do have one specialty program that's really, really beneficial and is accredited by Joint Commission. And that program is our trauma program. And that's strictly inpatient. So if individuals have had physical, verbal, or sexual abuse, we can screen them for that program. And we utilize trauma-focused CBT. We have 4 modules: anxiety management, affect recognition and regulation, cognitive restructuring, and self-esteem. And those modules, the thrust of it is really helping individuals to know what their trauma triggers are and help them to relieve anxiety and live a more normal life with what has happened to them. So that's Hartgrove Hospital. Any questions about Hartgrove before I go into Garfield Park briefly? All right, clear as glass, right? Beautiful. Okay, Garfield, yes. Oh, excellent question. We take pretty much all insurances, all the commercial insurances, as well as managed Medicaid. The only thing we really don't take is if it's a HMO situation. Some of the HMOs where it's closed, we may not be able to take, or we could take them on a one-off basis. And then the only other one that we don't take is straight adult Medicaid. And basically that's being phased out. So we take pretty much everything is really the answer. Anything else? Okay, I'll go on to Garfield briefly. I think I'm within my 10 minutes here. With Garfield Park, we treat children, and that's located in Chicago also. We treat children and adolescents, so anywhere from 3 to 17 years of age. We have an inpatient program for those individuals. And then we have a PHP program, which is 6 to 17 years of age. Same as with Hartgrove, where individuals that still need intensive treatment, but they have a home structure where they can go home in the afternoon, and that's Monday through Friday for that program also. We also have 2 specialty programs. One is called the Worthy Program, and in this program is for children and adolescents that have been sex trafficked or at risk for sex trafficking. And we also deal with law enforcement entities like the FBI and local law enforcement for the criminal aspect of those type of issues. In addition, the other specialty program we have is called the YES program, and that's for children exhibiting some kind of problematic sexualized behavior, and we gear them to appropriate activities developmentally, age-wise, and help them in that regard. And we have good screening tools to tease out specifically what issues they're having and what type of treatment would be appropriate for kids that are having those type of issues. And so that's it in a nutshell. Any questions on Garfield Park? Yes.
For the YES program, do they need to be like in the hospitalization or partial hospitalization, or can they participate in that program without?
Yes, it is. Thank you. It is inpatient. Anyone else? Yes.
So this is a particular post hospital, but I've been finding collaborating while students are hospitalized for discharge time is really difficult in a number of places.
How are we in that regard? How are we in that regard?
I haven't had experience with you guys in the past year. In general, this is something that you guys are doing out of practice. Some hospitals, we're just not doing it.
No, and thank you for that question. That is sometimes an issue, to be honest, and we've had to address communication in that regard at our hospital. And we do have very good communication and discharge planning, which is so important, especially with issues of that nature. So yes, and if anyone has an issue, we get on it right away. All right. Anything else? Thank you very much.
All right. All right, so that's probably the quickest we've ever gone through these community resource presentations. So thank you all for being here. For our presenters, if you have any electronic versions of flyers, brochures, PowerPoints, please send them to me, email them to me by the end of the week. And so what we're going to do following this presentation is we will be putting this recording of this presentation online, along with a handful of other organizations, individual videos who couldn't come to present themselves today. And so I'm going to be emailing that information out to all of you, as well as many other groups of people to watch those videos, and including the electronic flyers and things like that. Does anyone have any questions? Any question? The flyers and brochures?
We have a community board as well, and community engagement and safety team also